Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Sydney ASMR, and today I'm going to be talking about my childhood memories. I have seen some ASMR artists talk about just like memories or short stories from their childhood, from high school, or family memories, things that are funny or silly or maybe entertaining, and I thought that it was kind of nice to listen to as I fell asleep. So get comfortable, get cozy, and listen to me talk about my life. I guess it's a bit of a rambling video. I don't really have a plan per se of what I'm going to be talking about, but I do have some little triggers. I've got a couple of things here that might be fun or tingly or nice to listen to. So enough chit chat and let's begin. Let's begin. So I guess I should start in the beginning. I was born in Kentucky, and my dad was in the army, so we lived in Fort Knox, Kentucky. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of like Fort Knox. It's like the most like protected bank in the country. It's really not that cool. I think there's a scene where the penguins from Madagascar break into Fort Knox, which I thought was kind of funny. A lot of people wonder what was it like living in a military base, and I think sometimes people don't realize that living on a military base is like living in your own little bubble, because you have your own grocery store. You have something called a PX, and that's basically kind of like a Walmart, but without the food. It's like you have clothes, you have makeup, you have jewelry, you have outdoor equipment, you have home decor, like everything that you can think of a PX would have. We have our own hospitals, we have our own pharmacies, we have our own little like malls. I lived in a base once where there was a GameStop on post and a barber shop and there were 2 bowling alleys, a swimming pool. Not every post is this expansive, but some of them are. And I think one of the things about growing up as a military kid is that you become very adaptable, because even if you are not necessarily the one moving around from state to state or country to country, you also are around a lot of people who are moving a lot. So sometimes I would go outside and play with my neighborhood friends, and I'd be like, hey, where's Jimmy? My friend Jimmy, my Foursquare buddy, my hula hoop comrade. And it turned out that he moved last weekend, and I didn't know. Nobody knew. So you get pretty quick at saying goodbye and making new friends. Growing up military has made me very not easily impressed by people having muscles, because like my dad and every dad and a lot of moms, just also women who are in the army as well, and they do PT every morning. I'm walking to class and with my little lunchbox and backpack, and I'm seeing people doing PT on the way to school, and they're buff and they're strong. And now when I'm older and I see these people, they're like, look at my muscles. I'm like, yeah, not impressive. I'm not really sure if that's relatable or funny, but it's kind of true. I'm not very impressed by muscles. I was like, yeah, my dad has them, so what? Let's see. I also remember I had this really, really good friend. Her name was Bianca in 2nd grade, and I remember one time she was in a counseling meeting with a teacher about, talking about what it's like having a dad that's deployed, and, just a safe space for her to talk about it with a teacher or counselor. And I remember I saw her crying about it, about how she missed her dad and how hard it was for her mom, for her dad being away. And that is the beauty of living on a post like that and with around other people who are going through something very similar to what you're going through. Even if your parents aren't deployed, at the moment they've been deployed at some point, or they're at work a lot, and you have to see oftentimes your mom, but of course there are moms who are deployed too, but a lot of times it was the dads, and you see these single moms, even though they're not single, but they basically are living the single life, and taking care of kids by themselves. And it can be very hard, so it's important to have a community that backs you up on that. And yeah, I just remember a lot of playing outside and meeting new kids and knocking on doors. Hi, can Taylor come outside and play? Taylor, yeah? Do you want to go play with this girl? What's your name, sweetheart? My name's Sydney. Do you want to play with Sydney outside? Yeah. Okay, sweetheart, you stay out here, she'll be ready in a jiffy. That was a lot of my childhood, knocking on doors, asking for people to play outside with me because I was lonely. But there was one time, 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning, that nobody wanted to play. They were all sleeping in or playing video games. I was like, F them. I'm gonna climb a tree. I'm gonna climb this tree. I'm gonna swing from the branches like Tarzan, And one time that day I was climbing the tree, and then I grabbed the tree branch and then I jumped to the other tree branch, and I was like, heck yeah, I was a strong little 8-year-old. And then I fell. And then I broke my wrist. And then my dad made me a turkey sandwich with Lay's potato chips. And we watched Jaws. And I didn't go to the doctor until a week later after I broke my arm. And some people might think, ooh, neglectful parents. Maybe, but I think it has more to do with the fact that I didn't complain about it. I was like, yeah, I fell from a tree, it's whatever. Every time I put pressure on my wrist, I feel like crying and it hurts really, really bad. That's fine, it'll go away in the morning. And I remember it took my teacher having to pull aside my mom and be like, I think something's wrong with Sydney's arm because she's been writing with her left hand and it's completely ineligible or uneligible. I don't know the word, but she wasn't able to read my handwriting because I was writing with my left hand and not my right hand because I broke my right wrist. And I ended up having to have surgery, and I have a little scar on my wrist, and I just think it's a bit of a funny memory, and it's a reminder that if you're going through pain or if something's happened to you, talk to people about it because it can end up getting worse, and then you might need surgery to fix it. So I think that's funny. Another thing about my childhood, I was a compulsive liar. I looked much older than what I was, and I remember going to the parks and being like, yeah, I'm 13, but in actuality I was 8. And the thing is, people believed me. They just believed me. I mean, when I was 8 years old, I did not look 13, but people were like, oh yeah, you're 13, okay, cool, and they would treat me like I'm 13, but ultimately they would find out that I was 8 because I was really bad at keeping the lies. I would also lie about having a twin sister. So I would come out one day and be like, I'm Sydney. Yeah, my twin sister, she's sick right now, but I can play with you guys. And then the next week I'd come out and be like, I'm Bethany. I'm Sydney's twin sister. Sydney's doing homework right now. She can't come out right now, but I can play. That lasted very short because I think people very quickly figured out that something was wrong. I was a weirdo. I mean, what was wrong with me? I also had a game that I used to play with my neighborhood friends. It was called Dead Girl, and it involved a slide, and it was a slide that had a top, so like when you were in the slide nobody could see you, and it curved around in like little curves, and I would tell them, guys, what I want you to do, like 2 or 3 of them, I want you to be at the top of the slide, and you win if I can't pull you down. I win if I can pull you down. So I would sing a little creepy song like, dead girl, coming for you. And then it would just be silent. Absolutely silent. And what I would do to scare them is one of 2 things. One, I could very quietly maneuver myself up the slide and aggressively pull their legs down. And of course I would often win because I had gravity on my side and it was literally a slide, so I could slide them down the slide. But another thing I would do, which was always a hit, I would climb on top of the slide because it had a little roof and they couldn't really see my footprints if I was very light and like quiet about it. And I would tiptoe all the way to the top on the slide, and then I would lean over and go ah and scare them, and then they would get scared and go down the slide, and then I'd win. I loved chasing people. I really enjoyed chasing people. I did not like being chased. I liked chasing. And at one time this girl was chasing me. She was it or something. And I was like, oh, hold on. My mom's calling me. And I'd pick up my phone and be like, Mom? Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I forgot to do the dishes. Okay, I'll do the dishes. And I would just lie and do that so I could get out of getting tagged. And I find that I am actually a good liar in my adulthood. Like, if it came down to it, I can lie. But I don't like lying to people because I like to be honest. I'm a very honest person. Maybe sometimes too honest. That I hurt people's feelings. Comment in the chat if you feel the same way. Like, I'm never mean. I really try to be kind to people and bring out the best people, but sometimes I think I say things, especially to sensitive people, and I say things and I'm like, shoot, I should have stayed quiet and mysterious, damn it. And I end up like, I feel like hurting people's feelings, or maybe I overthink it and maybe I'm not hurting their feelings, but alas, I don't like lying to people. But I find that when it's necessary, I'm good at it. So I guess that's a nice skill. Let's see, other childhood memories. I had no romance ever. Period. When I was in school. I mean, I'm in college now, I've had romance now. But throughout middle school, elementary school, high school, nada. Zip. Nothing. Because I didn't like anyone. I just always was like very mature, and I remember people asking me to be their girlfriend like in elementary school, and I always thought, why would we date right now? I am a child. My priority is getting good grades and playing with Nerf guns. And so I remember one time, and I don't know if this will ever reach him, but I have a message for him. I don't remember his name, but I feel greatly, greatly sorry for what I'm about to tell you. The grief in my heart is great. So, I am, I think, 8 years old. I'm in my house, and my mom says there's 2 people at the door for me. I open the door. It's 2 people I've never seen before, and they're like 11 and 13, like they're older than me. And I was like, who are you? And they were like, we are a friend of a friend. Turns out they were cousins of a boy that I would play with sometimes outside. And they said, he has a special question for you. And I immediately knew what it was. And I had so much anxiety in my chest. I felt nauseous, like I was gonna throw up, because I didn't like this boy, like, in a romantic way. And I knew that he probably liked me. And I was also with 2 people who I had never met before. And they were older than me, and that made me nervous. And I went to the park, and he was hiding in the slide. And the slide had little holes on the side, and he peeked out through the holes, and he came out and he greeted me, and he was shuffling around and looking at the ground, and he said, he didn't quite say it, but he was like, I like you. And I said, I'm sorry I can't be your girlfriend because you're too short. I broke this boy's heart, and it doesn't help. The cousins told me I was the worst person they've ever met, and I went home and cried. This is such a sad story. And I feel so bad for telling him that he was short, but I guess I felt that was less worse than me just telling him I didn't like him. But as an adult, I look back on it, and he probably felt so ashamed for his height. And for all of my short kings out there, you are worthy. Just a few inches does not mean anything. And I feel bad to this day. So if this message gets out to him, I don't remember his name. I remember he lived down the street from me. We shared a class, I think, and he was blonde, and he had 2 cousins that made me cry. But nonetheless, I hope that he laughs about it now. So yeah. Let me think of maybe one high school story that's funny. God, I was so ugly in the beginning of high school, and awkward, and stuttery, and I had no fashion. I looked pale and sickly. I just look back at old photos of me in high school, and I'm like, who let me dress like that? Who let me talk like that? Like, I was just a mess. I'm sure many people can relate to this, though. But, like, I wasn't cute, though. Like, I was ugly. I did start to, like, get a little bit prettier my junior and senior year. But I try not to be so hard on how ugly I was my freshman and sophomore year. But if you were a freshman or sophomore in high school or whatever, and you look in the mirror and you're like, oh my god, I am so fugly, wuggly. No wonder nobody likes me. I'm disgusting. My face is oily and gross, and I just am unfit. Whatever it may be, I promise you it will get better. You are a child. You are not expected to be a model, to be gorgeous, to reach society's expectations of what you're supposed to look like. Okay? You're meant to be fugly. It's humbling. It builds character. And then when you get older and you start to look a little bit, you're a bit of a glow up, then you have a personality, and you're beautiful. I mean, of course you're beautiful now, but God, there's a few years there during puberty where it's rough. It's rough, but it gets better. Let me think. High school memory. I have I went to a boarding school. I not because I had money, but because it was like I got a bunch of scholarships to go there, and we moved around a lot during my high school, and it was really nice to stay in one place. But it was also a lot being away from home, and it was also a religious school, so there was a little bit of trauma there, which might be a story time for another video. But one of the things I think about from high school is just all of the friends that I had. Even though we don't talk much anymore, I still have a lot of good feelings towards the girls that were on my hall, and I really root for them. I really hope that they're happy. Like all the sleepovers that we had, late night talks, eating at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Some of the people, I'm not really friends with them anymore. We never really did talk, but I want you to know that if you watch my channel, I mean, I don't think most people from high school know I have a YouTube channel, but if they do, if the message goes across into the void, I really hope they're all doing well, because I don't know, I just think we're all at that small little, boarding school, and in the middle of nowhere, and I just hope that they're all doing well. But if you're watching this, you might be curious what it was like to be at a boarding school. So a typical day, like my freshman year of high school, I would wake up at around 7:30 or 8, and my first class was at 8:30. So I would have to go and get breakfast at the cafeteria. So I'd go and get breakfast, like some fruit, cereal, something quick like that. But oftentimes I would just skip breakfast and eat a granola bar in my room, but that's beside the point. And then I'd go to class, and we worked on an A-B block. So we had A days where we had a set of 3 or 4 classes. Then we had B days where we had a set of 3 or 4 classes. So I would have 2 classes in the morning, and then I would have lunch, and I would sit with my friends. Then I would go to my dorm, and we had room checks. I had to make sure that my room was clean enough so that I could pass a room check. And if I didn't pass a room check, I would have to do a military clean, which meant I had to take every single thing out of my room and deep clean the room. I never had to do that because I was always really clean, but it was something that I saw some other people do. It was kind of crazy. And then I would go to my third period, which was generally like a creative class, so it would be music, yearbook, photography, theater, whatever that might be, art, whatever. And then I would go into my afternoon class, and then for underclassmen, so freshman, sophomore, we would be done by like 3:30, and then we'd have to go to work. Everyone worked. So my freshman year, I actually worked at a nursing home. I was there to, my only job was just to spend time with people who didn't have people to visit them. And we were called their grandchildren. We would go and just spend time with them. It was actually a really sweet experience. Really sad, but a good experience. I also worked in an office. Literally hated my life. Would never work in an office again. It was awful. Never again. And then after you were done working, you would go eat dinner in the cafeteria, and then you could go to rec and the gym. You could hang out with your friends, do some homework, and then we had chapel. Boring, conservative, long, awful chapel. And it would go on forever. I hated it. And then we would have strict study hall, which meant an hour in our rooms, no hanging out with anyone, and we had to study and do our homework. And then after that hour was up, we could go and do whatever we wanted until lights out. Lights out was anywhere from 10:30 to like 11. And then when I was there, we could keep our phones at night. But my senior year, they started putting our phones in Yonder Pockets. And if you don't know what a Yonder Pocket is, it is hell. It is torture, and it is a discrimination of our rights. Like, I think it's so wrong to take high school kids' phones away at night, especially when they're at a boarding school. It's our only way of communication with the outside world. My dad was deployed my freshman year, and there were times I would call him in the middle of the night so I could talk to him because there was a time difference. And even if I was on my phone all night long, if my grades were still good, if my parents were okay with that, then it's fine. I mean, all day long, you're either in school or you're working or you're in church or chapel, and then that a lot of time after lights out, it's quiet. There's no one bothering me, there's no RA checking me in, and that's my time to be on my phone. Also, I would listen to ASMR after lights out. So I just think it's so wrong to use the Yonder Pockets. I think it's so wrong. But yeah, they did that my senior year. But I found a way around it. I obviously found a way to break the Yonder Pockets. I put my charger in between the magnet, and I used that where it would click, but if you just pulled it apart really hard, it would open. So I got away with it. But yeah, crazy times. I would never go back there. I would never visit that school. Trauma. Happy memories, but trauma. That might be for another video though. But I think that's the end of the video. I hope that you enjoyed my ramble. I didn't really use any of my triggers. I got lost in thought, so I'm sorry about that for misleading you. But there you go. Are you tingled? Are you happy? I hope that you sleep very well tonight. Thank you so much for listening to my ramble. If you like this video, I have a video coming out every Monday. I also do custom videos through Wizio. You can find that link down below. And feel free to subscribe and be a part of the community. And when this video comes out, it'll be the day before Halloween, so happy Halloween. I didn't do as many scary videos this month as I wanted to because my SD card broke, and so for the past week, which is the week I wanted to film some scary videos, I just wasn't able to, and I'm so sorry about that, but I plan on filming more scary videos in the future. Have a good night. Thank you so much, and sweet dreams, sweethearts.